up to 20 attendees. Oh, it's going up super fast now. Hi, everybody. Looks like a lot of you are just joining us now. So I'm just going to let you know, we're just going to give it a minute. So till 12:51, that's when we're going to start. Just give, wow, we got 70 people in here now, and it's only growing. This is great. My name is Curtis Vandalite. I work for the Ottawa-Carleton District School Board. I'm a teacher, and I'll be moderating this chat, and we'll get going at 12:51. So thank you. 131, great. Okay, numbers are still going up every second. There's about an extra 10 people being added, but I'm just going to get started because it's 12:51. So my name is Curtis Vandalite. I work at the Ottawa-Carleton District School Board. I'll be the moderator for today. Today we're lucky to have Brad Booker, who's joining us from myBlueprint, where he works with school boards across Canada to implement a career in life planning resources. Brad is a former high school vice principal and is passionate about supporting students in developing skills and navigating transitions. He also owns a small farm in Eastern Ontario where he and his family have a nice little side hustle growing garlic and cut flowers. So I'm happy to hand it off to Brad.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Curtis. I forgot that I put that in my bio that I got a little gardening side hustle. So I know we've got students here from the Ottawa area as well as from Peel District. So happy to be here with you today. I am in Eastern Ontario, so I'm a little bit closer to the Ottawa folks. My little farm is just outside of Brockville. So I'm happy to be joining the group here. I'm going to queue up my screen and go through a couple of slides here today. As Curtis mentioned, I work for myBlueprint. And I'll be going through a couple of key themes in exploring pathways and hopefully equipping students here on the call with some tools, some great takeaways, so that after this session, you've got some resources to support your explorations. So to kick things off,
jump in real quick, Brad.
Oh yeah, sure, go ahead.
Just let everybody know if you have questions, please use the Q&A, and I'll shoot them to Brad. Thanks.
Yeah, excellent. Thanks for that. And I know Curtis, if there are any questions, please, don't hesitate to interrupt, and I'm happy to explore areas a little further. This session is recorded too, so if you did want to watch it later or share it with folks at home, you're welcome to do that. I love watching the recordings afterwards because I can watch at 2 times speed and get all the content in less than the time. The agenda for today is, like I mentioned, having a look at pathway planning, and I'm going to identify some key themes. These are themes that, in my experience working with students and working at myBlueprint, that are pertinent to students today. And then to support that, I'll share some resources, some tools and some tips that can help you explore those resources. We have until 1:35, so I intend to make this action-packed and share some key insights for you. And then I'm happy to stick around afterwards and answer any questions that students have pertaining to pathway planning. Curtis gave me an introduction already. This is a couple of pictures from myself. My role at myBlueprint is to support school boards all across Canada. And I was introduced to myBlueprint as a high school vice principal working in British Columbia. I used it all the time to support conversations with my students about what those pathway options look like. And it's a really challenging time in students' lives, and resources are needed. I'm incredibly passionate about supporting pathway planning. Before becoming a high school vice principal, I managed an outdoor education center. I supported apprenticeships and youth work experiences. So this is my jam. I absolutely love helping young people discover experiences that can translate into opportunities for future exploration. So that's me in a nutshell. The key themes that we're going to be talking about here today, number one is skills. I'm gonna do a bit of a deep dive into skills and supporting you and how you can help yourself with skill development. Then we're going to have a look at tools for exploring all possibilities. And this is a key piece here, is that word all, wanting to encourage folks to branch out and explore various pathways, skilled trades, college, university, gap year, workplace, everything that's out there and available to you. I'll share some tools that can highlight every one of those. And I'm also going to talk about parents and family. You can tell by my pause there. There might be some hesitation. They're incredibly important in your lives, and I'm going to share some tips on how to help them help you. And then lastly, we're going to talk about AI, because who isn't talking about AI? I imagine that of the participants here on the call, there's varying levels of familiarity with AI. But I want to, it's kind of the elephant in the room in every room these days, and I want to address it in the concept of pathway planning and share some tips for how it can be best used. All right, so first off, we're going to start with skills. And I've got a quote right here in the middle that competencies are the new currency for pathways. And competencies is a word that gets tossed out a fair bit. So I put a little definition here at the bottom. Being competencies is the combination of knowledge and skills. And so what this means here is, in terms of pathway planning, competencies are what you need to be able to navigate. And I put currency in here because anytime you're trying to explain a concept, making it relate to money always makes it a little bit easier. So in the context here, if we're talking about currency, how do you earn currency? How do you get money? What are the types of things that you do to get money? Yeah, well, it's pretty cut and dry. You got a few options. You can get a job, you can earn scholarships, maybe other nefarious things, but usually it's get a job, make some money. So that's how you can develop currency. And then the second question would be, after how do you develop it, how do you prove it? And again, with money, it's a little bit easier because you can have a wallet. Here's my cash. You can bring up the app on your phone. Here's what my bank account statement looks like. So currency is pretty easy to develop, or easy to understand how we can develop or increase our currency, and then prove it. When it comes to competencies being a currency, and these are the things that are now required for students to gain jobs, to gain entrance into post-secondary, A, how do you develop it? And B, how do you prove it? So that's what we're going to be exploring here to start with, is how can you, as a student, develop competencies and then be able to prove those competencies to employers, to scholarship committees, to entrance committees, so that you can say, I'm excellent. These are the skills I've got, and I can prove it. And here's how. So that's where we're going to start here today. The next section here with skills is relating to confidence. And this is a key piece. As soon as we start looking at competencies and skills and developing these, this is going to start opening up some options, some pathways, and also help support you in building your confidence. So I've got three kind of areas here and that support the journey of developing competencies, starting with self-awareness. This is a key piece in pathway planning. It's your understanding of who you are, what you value, what's important to you, and we'll dive into this in a little bit. And then experiences. It's really, really hard to develop competencies without having experiences, without doing things. So we'll dive into the experiential world, and then how you can lastly document these skills. And documentation is so important. More and more with myBlueprint, we work with post-secondary institutions, and grades are important for sure. You need to meet a certain grade level to get entrance into a program or a school. But more and more, we're seeing that you need to submit a portfolio of your skills and competencies to prove that you're a good fit for this program. Or if you want to get a job, how do you prove that you have the skills that are necessary for that career, that job? So this is where we're going to start. We're going to start with having a look at skills, and then starting with self-awareness as well. So I've got a little diagram here, a little Venn diagram with 4 circles. This is a very common diagram in Ontario, because in Ontario we have something in education called Creating Pathways to Success. And it's a provincial mandate that says when we support students in this province, we need to support them with education and career life planning. And to do so, we've identified 4 questions that are key for students to think about and address. And those questions are: who am I? What are my opportunities? Who do I want to become? And what is my plan for achieving my goals? Now, these are incredibly thought-provoking, challenging questions to navigate, starting with who am I? And this is a key starting point that I would encourage everybody on this call to begin with, is self-awareness. having some reflection on who you are. What are your values? What are your interests? What are the things that motivate you? And it can be challenging to think about this, and it also is ever changing in your lives. That addressing who you are is going to ebb and flow. And it's something that requires constant reflection. When I shared my bio with Curtis, I don't know, a couple of months ago, I totally forgot that I put in there that I've got a small farm operation, probably because I submitted that in when things were growing and happening. Nowadays, my who am I statement might be totally different depending on the things that I'm working on right now, the things I'm passionate about. What are my opportunities? This is so important to fully understand what's out there and what's available. That's where we're going to dive into some tools here. Who do I want to become? You guys probably get a question similar to this, but it probably sounds a little bit more like, what do you want to do after high school? And I really wanted to gauge your feedback on that question, because in my experience working with students, as soon as you ask that question of what do you want to do, it usually elicits a response of panic or of like stock response. I know exactly what I want to do. When I was in grade 10, I wanted to be a marine biologist. And I told people that, and it was a very satisfying thing to say. And it also got them off my back because, hey, that sounds like yeah, that's a reasonable career for me to want to pursue. Uh, but you know what? I don't live near an ocean, and I don't really like swimming. And turns out I didn't become a marine biologist. Nevertheless, who do you want to become? What is the person that you aspire to be? And then lastly, making a plan. So these are the key questions that we're going to navigate in terms of self-reflection and skill documentation, but then also having a look at some pathway tools so that we can look at can we make some thoughtful explorations to know what those opportunities look like. So I'm going to introduce some pathway planning tools here through myBlueprint. I know that students on the call, if you're at Peel District School Board or Ottawa Catholic District School Board, you use myBlueprint, you have full access to the tools I'm going to share. I do know for students at Ottawa-Carleton School Board, you use Zello, which has many similar features as well. So I'm going to highlight myBlueprint here, but no, if you're at Ottawa-Carleton, some of the features, they'll look a little bit different, of course, but you do have access to these resources. So in this quick demo, what I'm going to share is making thoughtful plans right now based on who you are in high school so that you can see and visualize what those opportunities look like. And then how can you compare some of those opportunities so that you can start making some informed decisions. And then we'll have also a look at digital portfolios for documenting skills, building those competencies, feeling that sense of confidence and pride that, you know what, I do have skills that are valuable. So that's our next step. Is I'm going to flip screens here. I'm going to hop into a myBlueprint account, go through a couple of key pieces. If there are any questions as I'm going, please don't hesitate to put them in the Q&A. And courtesy, if anything comes up, please pause me, and I'll be happy to address those questions further. So that's funny. I got my chat GPT up. I'll share that later. I'm now in a student account of myBlueprint. This should look familiar for most folks. In Ontario, I mentioned those 4 circles and those key questions. Those support something called an IPP, or an individual pathway plan. And this is what myBlueprint supports students with, and Zello supports students with, is developing your individual pathway plan. And this is an absolute key thing to support an ongoing process of self-reflection and exploring those pathway opportunities. But knowing I don't have a ton of time, so I won't go through all of the resources, but I will share right now is high school planning, because this is a key spot for us to start making some thoughtful plans. In your myBlueprint account, you're going to see a high school plan that maps out all of your courses. You're going to see all of the courses that you've completed in the past. You're going to see your grades. This is an awesome tool to be able to navigate and visualize what your next steps look like. Depending on your grade level, if you're maybe in the earlier secondary years, so let's say you're in grade 10, you can plan out your grade 11 courses, and you're going to see grade 12 might be blank. I strongly encourage everybody, all students on this call, to map out a full high school plan. And I'm going to share some reasons why here in a second. But when you map out all of your courses, this is where you can start exploring courses based on your interests. So some of you are probably familiar with the Who Am I surveys. This is a great tool to get started addressing that very first question of things like what motivates you? What are the things that you're passionate about? And from doing those Who Am I surveys, you can even align those with courses offered at your school to start saying, hey, I didn't realize that my school offered courses in tech or drama arts courses or SHSM programs. So this is a very powerful spot to explore the different courses and programs that align with your interests and values. So that's why I recommend, even if you're early on in your high school programming, map out everything. You can put courses in all the way up to the end here. You can also make multiple plans. So if you're like me and you're thinking, oh, maybe I want to be a marine biologist, but you know what? I kind of like fixing stuff and working on equipment. Maybe I want to be a millwright as well. You can make plans for those different pathways. So really cool for you to be able to do that. When you're making out your high school plan, you can add courses, you can search for what's available at your school. And you can see I've got a plan here based on a grade 10 student. I'm planning for grade 11 next year. I've got a 4-credit co-op in there. I'm really excited. I'm jazzed about some experiential learning. And then I also have in my grade 12 year, I've got some advanced classes. I got some senior level science and maths. I've also got a spare in here as well. So it's kind of nice that I'll have a bit of a flexible year. Curtis, I see you got a question there.
Yeah, we got a first question. They're wondering if you don't have a myBlueprint account, they're wondering if you can make one for free.
Yeah, 100%. If you are at Peel or Ottawa Catholic, you all have myBlueprint accounts, and you'll have single sign-on through your school boards. And I'll share maybe after this session, or as we wrap up, I'll provide those URLs in the Q&A as well. I think I can type in there. If you are at Ottawa-Carleton, your Zello account will be quite similar to this as well, so you'll be able to use that. So every student here on the call will have access to a high school plan to be able to map these things out, and I'll put some details in the chat or in the Q&A at the very end, just so that after today you're like, okay, this is how I can log in and check this out. A couple of other key pieces that I just want to mention before I start diving into some pathway business here. The first one is graduation indication. In Ontario, there's 30 different things that you need to do to graduate. And this is usually a step one for students in mapping things out, is ensuring that you have the right courses in there to satisfy all of those graduation requirements. Things are constantly being updated, where students now in grade 9 need to take a tech course, need to take a STEM course. You need your volunteer hours, you need 2 credits in online learning, or you need to opt out from that. So having this graduation indicator is a really satisfying and confidence building area to know that, hey, if I complete this plan, I'm on track. I've got a good map that's going to support me right through to the end. Oh man, it's getting sunny here in Eastern Ontario, so I've got a bit of an excitement glow going on here. So that's graduation indicator. The second thing that I want to highlight in your high school planning, and the other reason for mapping out all of your courses, is in myBlueprint, we have this pathway eligibility box down here. What this does, it's incredibly powerful. It automatically syncs every single course that you have in your high school plan with every single post-secondary opportunity in Canada. So we have 17,000 different programs in our database, which is really exciting because this is a one-stop shop. It means that you don't have to do Googling. You don't have to go through all of the search engine optimization of Google. When you put in a high school plan here, and you refresh this eligibility, it's going to take these courses and sync it with the entrance requirements of every apprenticeship, college, university program in Canada. So when I build this plan, it's really exciting because now it almost feels like shopping. Instead of maybe feeling like, oh man, I have no idea what's out there. Well, now I can narrow things down. I can also add courses, subtract courses, and see what the impact is. So let's say, as an example, I'm in grade 10 right now, and I think I'm pretty excited about math and functions, but maybe, you know what, maybe I don't want to do advanced functions and introductory calculus. If I delete this program, what impact, or that course, what impact is that going to have on my eligibility long term? The other exciting thing is if I click in on any one of these blue numbers, let's say university 2000 programs I'm eligible for, I'm going to click into this. This is going to show me the actual programs, all 2000 Canadian universities programs that I'm eligible for, that I meet the entrance requirements for based on my high school plan. So this is a really cool way to narrow things down. I can narrow down even further here too. So I've got some different filters. Perhaps I want to stay in Ontario, or you know what, I do have that uncle in Alberta, so maybe I'll include Alberta in here. I can also search by category, or maybe I've got a specific institution, something that's nearby, or I went to a career fair and learned about an institution. I can pop that in here and check it out. It's really helpful too because I can even do some really in-depth search now. So I know I've got all of my courses built in there. Now I see what's available to me. It's all listed alphabetical, so it's it's unbiased. There's no advertising or anything here in my blueprint. So I can see, all right, well, I've got U Ottawa and I've got York University. These are actually excellent schools for me to highlight based on the location of the students on the call here. So let's say, as an example, I'm interested in African studies. I want to compare York University with U Ottawa. So check this out. I can do a nice side-by-side comparison of the institutions. I get an overview. What is this program all about? I can see things like, well, how long is the program? What's the tuition per year? So nice for me to be able to compare. Is co-op an option? Oh, cool. I can see that at York University it is an option, and I can see that, hey, here's all of the details. I've got even down to the how much is the meal plan. So we know that financial literacy, you probably have the option of attending those types of info sessions. It's really helpful to know these types of things, to have the tuition amounts available so that we can start making some budgeting plans, start maybe looking at scholarships. I see a question here. I'll pause for that question before I share the next step in this process.
Sure. A student has a question. What if some of the classes you've added get removed in my
Yeah,
blueprint?
excellent question. And then I also see, okay, cool. We got some neat questions coming in here. Okay,
Mhm.
so if you add a class in grade 12 and it's no longer offered, by the time you get to grade 12, you'll get a notification right there that says this course is no longer offered. It appears bright red, you can't miss it. And you also won't be allowed to submit your courses if that course has been removed. So it's an excellent question. You'll see that notification pop up and say, hey, this course is no longer available, and a prompt to then address your high school plan with substituting out a new course. Another question here is, what is co-op? Co-op is, I can't say enough great things about co-op. And I don't know if the question was pertain. Oh, I see the time. So co-op in this situation, and in my high school plan, I had co-op, and we can also see co-op here at the York University option. And I highlighted it specifically because I'm quite passionate about experiential education. Co-op is an opportunity for you to do a work term. And it's the same similar sort of thing if you're in high school. Doing co-op allows you to have a structured experience connected with your schooling where you're going to be out and exploring and doing some work. The reason this is so valuable and why I get so excited and sat up a little bit in my chair just now is because when I talk about skill development and competencies as a currency, doing a co-op is a great way to build skills and then being able to share those skills with others. So in this case, African studies, if we were to have a look at this and see some related occupations for this program, it might be challenging to understand, like, what are the jobs that I would do if I did a 3-year, 4-year degree in African studies. I know that there's probably jobs out there, but I don't know. If I did a co-op, well, now I'm going to start exploring occupations that are connected with this program. So that's just a quick snapshot and to highlight. Obviously, you can tell I'm quite passionate about it. But when it comes to skill development, there's nothing better than experiential learning to be able to get out there, do some on-the-job training. Yeah, great question here about courses. So the question here is, I've already planned out my courses. Most are university level, like advanced maths and science, like I mentioned, but it still says eligibility 0. Chances are in Ontario, you'll need to have 6 M or U level courses in order to be eligible for universities. So I would just recommend having a look at your high school plan. The two major things that if you've got 0 for university, the first one is ensuring that you are on track to graduate. So it needs to say 30 out of 30 for your credits. And then the second one is you'll need to have 6 U level or M level courses in your high school plan. So that will be the first two things. But if that doesn't address it, I'm happy to chat offline here too and help problem solve. Excellent question here about up-to-date information. Yes, my blueprint, we take incredible pride in our details being up to date with our program information. We're constantly adjusting, adding brand new programs in here. When I was a high school VP, I had like the wall of brochures, and I would always default to using my blueprint because I could trust that the information is in here. Another question about a meal cost. This is a great questions coming in. Usually, your first year at university, you will live in a residence situation. And when you live in residence, you get put on a meal plan. There's not often the option. You usually have to do it. And the meal plan is how much does it cost to feed you for that year. So that's what you'll see for that meal plan cost in there. Another question here about dropping courses. Man, I love this. You guys got awesome questions. If you're in your high school plan and you drop a course, myBlueprint syncs with your student information system so that like the database at your school every single night. So if you drop a course, it's going to show it will be deleted the next day. So it's a great question. It does sync automatically. So yeah, excellent question in there. Is doing co-op a better option even if it takes longer? You know what? That's a subjective question, so I shouldn't maybe address that directly. But I will
I'll
say,
say from our lens, I would say yes. It's a benefit. It's a major benefit. My wife, for example, has a really great job in the government, and she probably would not have gotten that job without that co-op. So it does give you a real leg up.
I totally agree. I did a program at University of Waterloo in environmental studies, and it was a 4-year program. I did a co-op program that was 5 years, and I have zero regrets. I am incredibly positive about my experience in co-op.
And I keep thinking I should have done it.
I love it.
So
How
we got
does my
another
blue?
question? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, maybe I'll answer these, and then for the sake of time too, I might have to
Yeah,
pause and
no
and
problem.
then address some of these at the end. But I'll try to get through them because I think that these are incredibly valuable, and because you're asking, I know that other students are probably thinking the same thing. Next question here is, how does my blueprint help with the transition from high school to university, and how does it help with career opportunities? This is an excellent question, and what I would say here, and oh man, that's a wonderful segue. I'm gonna address this one in a second when I talk about portfolios because it's a really great question about transition, particularly for sharing skills and experiences as well as accessing scholarships. So I'm gonna pause on that one question there. The next one is, how do I experience high school co-op and how does it differ from university co-op? Fantastic question. High school co-op is offered at every school. There will be somebody in your school, a guidance counselor most likely, but usually well, no, not usually, there's always co-op teachers as well. So during course and information nights, definitely seek information about co-op. Co-op in my plan here, you can see I've got a 4-credit co-op. This takes a whole semester, but that's not always the case. You can also do shorter co-ops. You can do 2 credits. Some schools will offer 1-credit co-op. So it's a very flexible option depending on what space you have in your timetable to be able to do co-op. And then how does it differ from university co-op? At the high school level, co-op is it's very broad. You can do a paid co-op, you can do a volunteer co-op. I'll see students doing co-ops in all sorts of different aspects and avenues. I've supported students in doing co-ops at healthcare imaging centers, veterinarian clinics, funeral homes, you name it, students just getting out in the community, trying out jobs, trying out new skills. And on that note, I mentioned the funeral home. I had a student come to me and say, Mr. Booker, I really want to be a funeral home director. And I think they probably just watched some really cool TV show that was pertaining to funeral homes. I set it up for them, helped them out, get them in there, made the introductions. The student came back to me the first month, said, I love it. This is it. This is the thing I want to do. 2 months later, came back to me and said, can you help me write my letter of resignation? I can't do it anymore. I found that it was far too difficult working with the families. Funeral home director is not for me. You know what? That co-op experience was the most valuable experience of their life. It saved them a ton of time, a ton of money, pursuing an occupation, a post-secondary pathway that maybe wasn't a good fit in the long run. So co-op is your chance to try things out now. And then at the university level, if you do co-op, and I should say not just university, at the college level as well, and then apprenticeships are pretty much founded on a co-op process of you working, gaining skills on the job. So in those scenarios, they're usually a little bit more structured. They're often paid as well. So in my experience doing co-op in university, I was paid. So it meant every 4 months I was making money, which paid for my next semester's tuition. So incredibly helpful that way as well. Differences between myBlueprint and Zello, they're both platforms that support student pathway planning. So I'm obviously more familiar with myBlueprint as an employee of myBlueprint, but very similar in terms of mapping out your courses, using the tools in here to set goals and explore post-secondary opportunities. So very similar. So that's why when I preface my intro, I just wanted to say tools for pathway planning. So Zello is available to students at Ottawa-Carleton, and then students at Ottawa Catholic and Peel will use myBlueprint. All right, I got some other questions in here. What if I don't know what to pursue by the end of grade 10? What would I have to do to figure them out? So what I want to share here, I'm going to pause on this question and I'll come back and have a look at some of these questions here in a little bit. But for the sake of time, what I just shared with the group here, and this is an excellent segue question about like how do I make these plans? What if I don't know in grade 10? And this is so, man, happy like you're not alone. Nobody really knows. And I'll be honest with you, I just attended a guidance counselor conference on Monday where the jobs that you'll be entering, we don't know what they're going to look like. And that's why I started this conversation on skills, is because planning for a certain occupation, that gets more and more challenging as time goes on. But what's not, within our control and what is measurably valuable right now is developing skills. So great question about what if I don't know by the end of grade 10? You're not alone. That's definitely the case. But what I want to share with you now are a couple of things that you can use to map things out. So what I shared with you is this high school plan. We map things out. Pick courses based on the things you're interested in, and this will populate that pathway eligibility. You'll be able to click in. I'm just going to click into college here and just share with you. I've got 4,000 college programs that are available to me. I can start looking based on categories. Maybe business sounds kind of interesting. Cool, I'll check this out. There's all sorts of different avenues that you can check out and explore. What that will do is it'll just broaden your awareness of what's out there. So I strongly encourage you to do this first process, which is build a high school plan based on the courses that your school offers, based on the things that you're interested in, and then that will present some options to you. Explore those options, and that's kind of exciting. The opposite is also true, and I'm going to share this with the group here as well. It's something that we call backwards planning, and it's a very common kind of process, but backwards planning is great if you're in grade 10. Well, it doesn't matter what grade you're in. If you've got a job in mind, as an example, I wanted to be a marine biologist. If I go ahead and put in here marine biologist, this is going to show me occupations for marine biologists. And this is great. If you've got a job in mind, I also wanted to be a police officer. Like I had all sorts of things. And folks probably have something in mind. And if you don't, that's cool too. Just start exploring occupations. You can use the Who Am I surveys as well, and it will give you guidance. So I do see a question here from JM. The Who Am I surveys, they will give you guidance on what kind of careers might be of interest to you. So if I pop in here, I can see marine biologists. Well, what the heck do they do? It's all right here. What level of education? What's the salary look like? What's the outlook? So it's really handy. I got videos, important skills, but most folks, you want to see things like what's the outlook? Province by province, I can see even regional data. So in Ottawa, what's marine biologists look like? If I wanted to see in Brampton, I can see that as well. It's all right here. Salary ranges, growth in Canada. So it's helpful to have this. You can also check out, and this is the backwards plan, the requirements. What do I need to do to become a marine biologist? And you could insert anything in here, an accountant, an architect, a registered nurse, whatever that job that might be kind of interest to you at this stage in your life, pop into the requirements, see what you need. You can now go to potential programs. This is going to show me all of the university programs that are available to me that would align nicely with marine biology. So now I can pop in here. I can see Trent University, and now with Trent University for this program in conservation biology with a co-op, I can check out the requirements. This is going to list out all of the courses I need to get into this program. So what I just did and demoed here is I've got a job of interest. Now I'm going to look at what's the requirement for that job, which schools offer that requirement. What do I need to get in my plan right now to realize this as a reality? So cool, I don't have chemistry in my plan. I don't have calculus in my plan. I know that because I don't have a green checkbox here. Now I'm going to go revisit my high school plan. I can do those updates, get those courses in there. So now I'm going to be on track, which is really exciting. Now I've got something in mind. I'm going to preface this, however, with the note and the acknowledgement that I didn't become a marine biologist. And I did the courses, I did the high school sciences, but that's okay. What happened, though, in my journey is I developed skills. And that's why I want to come kind of full circle back to that skill development, because even the content of the courses that you're learning right now, you might not use those exact pieces. I did do calculus, and on my day-to-day, I don't really tend to work with calculus that much. But what I did do is I learned how to learn, and I learned how to problem solve from doing those courses. You guys probably hear this enough in your classes when you ask those big questions of, hey, when am I ever going to need to balance this chemistry equation or whatever those things look like? Those skills are all valuable. And that's an important piece as a takeaway that I want to highlight is that doing things, having experiences, doing hard things is going to equip you with skills. That's step one, is how do you get skills? Step two is how do you prove that you have skills? So I know that there was a question that I missed earlier, and I just want to flip over and just highlight really quickly something called portfolios. Because when I talked about competencies as a currency, those were the two pieces. How do I develop competencies? My answer to that is do things. Take on challenges, do co-op, have experiences. Second thing is, how do I prove it? How do I show people that I've done these things? Because people are going to be asking for proof. People in the form of employers or scholarship committees or post-secondary institutions. They want to see that I've got proof. And now most cases, what we're familiar with are things like resumes and cover letters. And we have tools in myBlueprint that can support you. Those tools exist in Zello as well. You depending on your job prospects, working part-time, weekends, you're going to need a resume. And it's really helpful. We can support you in myBlueprint of creating resumes. We even have really helpful features that help you to document skills and share examples. Because it's one thing to say, you know what, I'm really good at working in groups. That's not good enough. You need to share an exact example of a time and a place when you demonstrated those skills. So what I'm going to share with the group here now is portfolios. And I'll share this quickly because I know I don't have a ton of time. I got 10 minutes left and I got a lot of questions to answer and a few cool additional resources to share. So in portfolios, what I want to highlight in here is that this is an awesome way to capture evidence. And I put that, I say evidence, not in like the forensic science sense, but because it's you will need to prove certain things. So in here, I don't know if students, anybody on this call has ever worked with challenge cards, SparkPath. When I talk about pathway planning tools, this is another great one. So if you have these at your school, man, they're terrific. They flip the question of what do you want to do, which is a really challenging question, as I said earlier, to what are the challenges you're passionate about solving? So it's a really cool way of looking at the things that you're passionate about and what you might want to work towards. So in here, I've got a portfolio about things that I want to pursue in my life. And one of them was creating meaningful experiences for others. Well, that's cool. That's a neat thing that I can do for a living. And if I do that, what are some things that I need to be able to demonstrate? Another one is growing the food that we need. And as I've referenced a couple of times, my side hustle in farming is it's a passion of mine. I enjoy doing that. But what I can see here in this portfolio, I've got things like a high school plan put in here. I've got goals. I've got favorited occupations. I can even add really cool things like videos and photos of things that I'm proud of. When I create a portfolio, it allows me to document my skill development, apply it by adding things in like occupations and post-secondary programs that connect with whatever the skill is that I'm trying to demonstrate. And then what I can also do is I can go ahead and share these portfolios. So what myBlueprint does is it supports students in capturing all of that evidence, applying it to post-secondary, to occupations, making those connections between what you're doing now and what you might be able to do with those skills in the future, and then sharing it with others. So I can click this share button. I can make a URL. I can put a title on it. And what this does is it makes a website for me that I can put directly in my cover letter, directly in my letter of introduction to scholarship committees. It's a great way for me to be able to share a professional looking resource that has all of the information that I want to be able to display to a potential employer or post-secondary opportunity. So that's just one quick piece. I just wanted to highlight that as one option of documenting and sharing your skills. In your school career, you'll have many opportunities to do this. It might be even things like simple as Google Slides, creating a presentation of skills. What's really important is that anytime you have an experience, you have that self-reflection of what were the skills that I developed from this experience. So make sure that that's something that you have in the back of your mind. I just shared this as one tool within myBlueprint. It's available. There's a portfolio tool. I believe in Zello, but it doesn't need to be in either of these. It can be just a running document of here's the skills, or making sure that you've got some kind of digital portfolio to document and share what it is that you're working on and proud of. So what I want to do is I just want to quickly scroll through these questions. I will save some time here at the end to go through them one by one, but I want to highlight, I know I only have about 5 minutes left here, and then I'll stick around and answer these questions. But I do want to flip back and highlight a couple of other key pieces, and I do appreciate those questions, so I will come back to them. This is a really quick summary of developing skills and then documenting those skills. So as students, portfolios can help you feel confident and capable. And that is such a key piece. And it's something that in working with students in my career, I find that mental health is a huge component of life right now. And being aware of that mental health, what is a positive contributor to that mental health aspect is a feeling of confidence and hope. And having a skill inventory where you know that the things that you're working on, and I'm not talking like the skills that I'm sharing here and the competencies that I'm speaking about, these are things like teamwork, collaboration, communication. We often call them soft skills. We've got a ton of different names, transferable skills. They're things that you work on all the time and you don't even know necessarily that you're working on them. And that's what I'm maybe hoping that you get from this as well, is that when you do have experiences, do think about those competencies, those soft skills, those pieces of personal growth that you're developing, and then make sure that you put them somewhere. Get them in a digital portfolio so that you can reflect upon them and then you can apply them. The next piece that I want to highlight ever so quickly, knowing that my time is dear here with you, is your families. I put this little bit of research in here. I've got some links at the bottom to the sources, but you can check it out, or you can just take my word for it. The research across all of North America shows that families are the greatest influence on student career choice. And as a former administrator and as somebody who works with students, I thought that I was pretty impactful. I thought that I had great conversations with students about what options that they have available to them, what they might want to pursue after high school. At the end of the day, it's families and caregivers. It's the people that you interact with on a more regular basis that are influencing you. And it might not be a direct influence. Well, it may or may not be a direct influence. You might have families that say, you're doing this. And that obviously is a very direct influence, but it's subtle things as well. So what I want to share here is that I want you to encourage sharing these resources and things like myBlueprint and Zello and what I'm about to share here with some AI with your family as well, because ultimately your families and caregivers might not even recognize their importance, and they know that they want the best for you, but sometimes accessing tools and resources is challenging. So what I'm sharing with you today, I really encourage you to share with the parents and caregivers in your lives and say, hey, let's check out myBlueprint, let's check out Zello, let's check out the challenge cards, let's check out Chatter High, let's check out ChatGPT. There's a ton of resources and tools out there. Bring them up and share them with the adults in your life. They want the best for you, but sometimes they don't know where to begin and which tools to access. So be sure to share these items with your family. The last piece that I want to cover before I dive into these questions. AI is I mentioned at the beginning, it's the elephant in the room. When I was at this guidance counselor conference on Monday, there was a keynote speaker, and this keynote speaker said to all of these guidance counselors from all over Ontario, they said, AI is not going to replace your job, but somebody using AI will. And the collective feeling in the audience of all of these guidance counselors was, oh, I guess I better figure out how AI works. And I know that people on the call, you probably have various levels of experience and also various levels of permission. And I know that some school boards are like very much, no, we're not touching AI. It's going to encourage plagiarism and all sorts of things. I just want to share a really couple of key pieces. The first one is it's great for bouncing ideas. I use AI, ChatGPT in my life all the time because it provides me, I'm going to say unbiased, but with a giant asterisk because I know that there's no such thing as unbiased information, but it allows me to bounce some ideas and see some different perspectives that I maybe didn't consider. But then I also want to encourage students here on this call to spend time on your prompts. This is where you're going to get some good information. I've got a couple of ChatGPT prompts here. This is from an activity in myBlueprint. It's called Career Exploration with ChatGPT. It's a lesson plan that we've made available to all teachers to encourage exploration within ChatGPT. I'm just going to share with you what this looks like really quickly. If you've never seen ChatGPT before and you're not sure, hey, what the heck is this guy talking about with this prompt business? I created this prompt, and I'm gonna copy it over here into a new window. In ChatGPT, my prompt is, I'm a grade 11 student in Ontario. I'm passionate about supporting Canadian Indigenous communities with accessing safe drinking water. You can see I put in a typo here, but it still figured it out for me. What are some potential skills, post-secondary programs, or occupations that I could pursue in this field? I can go ahead and fire this up. ChatGPT is going to provide me with some next steps, some ideas that I could work with, skills to develop. check this out. Technical skills, absolutely. Analytical project management, community engagement. So this is a really cool way to start bouncing some ideas, start seeing, hey, what are the skills that I should be working on? Technical skills, well, how can I start developing these? And I can start a conversation and ask those as follow-up. Hey, I noticed that you mentioned technical skills as the first one. I'm in grade 11 right now. Would you recommend chem or bio in grade 12? You'll get a recommendation. It's kind of cool to be able to bounce these ideas. Post-secondary programs to consider: environmental engineering, indigenous studies, environmental science, occupations in this field. Hey, this is pretty cool. This now allows me maybe a starting point for doing that backwards plan of environmental engineer. Why don't I pop this into myBlueprint or Zello and start looking at which programs are available in environmental engineering? What are the courses I need in my high school plan today to make this a reality? So this is just a really quick prompt as an example that you can put in there as a way to bounce ideas and start looking at skills and those next steps. So I do like I guess what I should do is a quick time check here, because I know that that I'm up against the clock. Curtis, is it okay if I do stay on a little
Yeah,
longer
sure.
and
We
address
can
these
do
questions?
a few more. Yeah, we can do a few more minutes. Just everybody know that it is 1:35 is our time, and we will have to move on.